Warm greetings from the high 10. It is Everyday Shenanigans. Thanks for joining me. This commentary is pertaining to Leilani Simon and her crazy 8-bat mother, Billy Joe Howe. This is older content from about 2 weeks ago. And I'm going to go ahead and give a commentary on Leilani being in jail, pled not guilty, and the fact that her mother wants a change of venue. Very funny. Thank you for joining me. WTOC is the source.
It has been a little over a week since Leilani Simon was arrested for murder after her son, 1-year-old Quentin Simon's remains were found in a Chatham County landfill. As of yesterday, the search of the landfill is over, and the case has been handed over from the Chatham County Police Department to the District Attorney's Office. Our Shay Schrader joins us live from the Chatham County Detention Center. And Shay, what's the latest tonight?
You said that landfill search is over, and right now the FBI is in the process of tearing down the command center that they had at El Scottsdale Park. The Chatham Emergency Management trailer that was there 6 weeks ago when that landfill search first started is gone, and the FBI's trailer is going to be removed in a couple of days. Meanwhile, Leilani Simon is still here at the Chatham County Detention Center a little over a week after being arrested on 4 charges, including the murder of her son, Quentin Simon. I did speak to Leilani's mother, Billy Howell, today. Billy was actually the one who drove Leilani to the Savannah FBI office to be arrested, and she says that she hasn't seen or heard from Leilani since then. She tells me that other inmates at the jail have been calling her to update her about Leilani's condition, but she hasn't been able to personally talk to her. Billy says that Leilani has been placed on suicide watch. Billy says that she's also in the process of contacting state officials about a potential change of venue for any trials that may come of this, because she feels like Leilani wouldn't be able to have a fair trial in Chatham County due to the large amount of both local and national attention on this case. Leilani did waive her right to appear in her arraignment last week, but she is due back in court for a preliminary hearing on January 11th. Live in Chatham County, Shay Schrader, WTOC News.
All right, everybody. WTOC is the source for that information. First of all, as some of you have said, how would anyone be able to contact Billy Joe Howe about anything going on with Leilani Simon? Now, it's not to say that someone in there doesn't have a phone, because phones have been known to be introduced into jail and prison systems, but they'd have to have access to a phone and or computer, iPad. So let's just say somebody contacted Billy Joe Howe. If you want to believe that or care, are you going to actually believe that she told somebody she wanted to kill herself, Leilani Simon? Most of us don't really care, but we want her alive because we want her to face charges for killing her kid, because she needs to face charges for killing baby Q. That's off the top. The audacity to plead not guilty is even more of a joke when we know the child didn't crawl into a dumpster and then the dumpster taken to the landfill. And all the games they played for weeks in this investigation pertaining to the disappearance of the child, said murder, just shows you how evil and diabolical she is. And even her mother going on social media, YouTube, playing mind games with a Canadian horse back and forth, phone tag and live streams, on and off and on. 1 minute she's talking bad about her on TV, then they're supporting her, then she's crying, pretending to cry about how did God bless her with 2 murderers for children, which is also a joke. Well, Billy Joe, you made these kids. That's why they're a product of you. Could they have led different lives? They could have, but they chose not to. But you're a menace. And the way you have behaved on social media shows us why your children are both incarcerated, because they are a product of a jacked up apple tree. You're the tree. They're the apples. Billy Joe, who are you to think that you can go to an official and demand that a change of venue be introduced? That is the attorney's job. That is the defense attorney's job, to ask the judge for a change of venue. Now, you've been to court a lot of times, so you should know the law. You should know Your commentary does not matter in the eyes of the court. You are nobody in the eyes of the court. So you think somebody's going to listen at you. Oh, the mother called and said she wants her daughter's change of venue somewhere else. Where in the world do you think this trial is going to be where nobody heard of Quentin Simon? And of course, there are people who do not keep up with every breaking news story. But I think in the state of Georgia, many people have heard of Quentin Simon, Leilani Simon, and Billy Joe Howe. See, this is why we know your daughter is sinister, evil. She killed this kid because she has the same nonchalant attitude about life as you. That's why she's in the jail right now. She's a product of you. She doesn't have any empathy. She doesn't have any common sense. She walked around as if she never killed a kid. All of y'all hooping it up at Tybee Island, drinking, falling out, loud all up in the people restaurant like a bunch of hood rats. And now here it is. She's been arrested for murder, pleads not guilty in court, and now you're back on supporting her. You can't even make up your mind what you want to do with your own child. Your grown child at that. So now we're to believe you're supporting her by wanting to seek out officials to ask if they can move the venue. Well, I'd like to know, who do you think you're going to ask? I'm curious. Enlighten the queen. I look forward to hearing who you are going to petition for your nasty ass daughter to have her trial moved somewhere. And let me guess, are you going to actually show up every day to court? Because that means if you're going to show up every day to court, Billy Joe, that means you won't be working. Are you working now? Have you returned to work? Because I understand, bills can get very, very high in the winter months, especially when it gets cold. And I'm sure Savannah will get a little chilly this winter. So you'll need to be running heat and gas, perhaps. So where's your job? Did you quit your job, Billy Joe, or did they fire you? I'm curious. See, these mind games you're playing with the system and social media and the news is typical of people who don't have any empathy and are sociopaths. That's why you have 2 sociopaths under your belt already. Your son didn't care about that boy. He snuffed out him and his friend. And now you have a daughter who snuffed out a baby that wasn't even 2 years old, couldn't even tie his shoes and couldn't use the restroom on his own. And now you're back on talking about seeking out officials to see if you can get a venue, change a venue, when that's not your job. That is the attorney's job that represents your daughter. So now you want to be a lawyer. Okay. You're sad and pathetic. Just sad and pathetic. Where's Mr. Howell at? Are you two still together? I'm curious. Because by now he should be tired of this $2 circus. He should be very tired. Is he still working? Because somebody has to work in order to pay the bills at that house. And I suspect that after some time, he will tire of you and all this mess that has accrued with dealing with your daughter and this investigation into finding Quentin Simon. And by the grace of God, they found him. Thank the Lord. But you also need to be rung up on charges for gross negligence, child abuse, fraud. We haven't forgotten about you, dear. Going into that court, petitioning for custody when you knew you had no intention of keeping the kids. But then I have to think about that for a second. Maybe you did have something up your sleeve. Now, one would say quitting your job as a welder would not suffice if you, 1, want to make money, 2, don't want to be bothered with children, and have some money in your bank account. Naturally, staying at home as a stay-at-home grandmother, you wouldn't be making any money, even if the state paid you some type of pay for the children. It'd be no way the same amount as what you would be getting as a welder. So, did you have a plan ahead of time when you sought custody of the grandchildren? I'm curious. Were you planning on staying at home and not working? So what were you going to do? Rely on Mr. Howell as the breadwinner? I don't see you taking care of kids now or then. because you didn't do it before when you filed for custody. And you filed for custody for those kids when you were still traveling on the highway working out of town, which shows fraud, gross negligence. So I don't know what your scam was, but you were up to something. And even now, fast forward, your daughter's been arrested, charged with murdering her own child, and you're still a busy bee. Talking to the news like you're a rock star, which you're not, and talking about getting a change of venue when that's not up to you. As I said before, this is the very reason you have 2 spawns under your belt, because they are sociopaths like you, and they learned from you. And they could have been better people than they are, but they chose the paths that they chose. And murder is interesting for 2 separate children, a male and a female. Now imagine that. One kills a man and one kills a baby. So we also have to question any other children that you gave birth to, what their mindsets are like. Because I really don't trust anybody affiliated with you, considering you had other sons, half sons, whatever, running the YouTube, making up stuff. You're so pathetic. You are pathetic. And anybody that deals with you and hangs with you, supports you in that spawn down there in that Chatham County Detention Center, they're diabolical too. Because I would not support neither one of you. And as I've said before, perhaps you already knew the baby was dead before you came home. And if you didn't, you knew before October 12th. I can bet that you knew that baby was dead. And you've been playing mind games with the news and YouTubers who are stupid enough to play along with you. That's my update. 2 weeks old, but I decided to go ahead and address this not guilty plea and Billy Joel allegedly getting information that her daughter's on suicide watch. Your daughter's not suicidal because, trust me, she wants to live. She needs her grand day in court to put on and pretend like Casey Anthony. Hopefully 12 members of a jury will find her guilty and not set her free. Because it'd be a shame to set her free and she goes out here and has more children and they end up missing. I'm wondering, how do all these baby daddies feel? Danny Youngkin, where are you? How do you feel about your baby mother now at the detention center and pled not guilty? Bubba Moss, how do you feel? And the other baby daddy of the oldest boy child. How do you all feel about knowing your baby mother has been accused of murder and pled not guilty? Did you ever see signs that she was homicidal, but you hung around her anyway? 3 different baby daddies, all the children under the age of 3. That says a lot about who she is and how she rocks. And naturally, these guys, they didn't care. She was just a piece of tail. Where is Danny Youngkin? What is his role in this crime? Did he conspire with her? Because he sure took off awfully fast. And you don't hear any mention of him. Any mention of the older child's father? And so far, nothing from Bubba Moss. And anybody that will blame the baby daddy for kidnapping the child and then change it to other narratives, there's no way you couldn't believe that this was intentional homicide of a baby boy. That's why she's locked up. Because they have something on her. And thank God the other 2 children are not in her custody. As far as funeral arrangements, I have not done any research pertaining to a memorial for Quentin Simon. But I don't think she needs to have rights to any remains. Frankly, nobody, in my opinion, because the child didn't have any support. Well, the other 2 children either. That's just my opinion. When I get an update pertaining to any developments in this case, I will bring it to you. As you heard in this commentary, January 11th, 2023 will be Leilani Simon's next court date We will see what happens in January. Happy holidays to all of you. Stay safe. Be aware of your surroundings while out shopping. If you see something, say something. Be a part of the solution and not the problem. I will be on a little bit later pertaining to the Idaho 4 student slangs, law and crime. We'll have a Q&A, and I may go live around that time because I am hours ahead of Idaho. All these stories are similar. All these people missing, dead because of one person. Just shows you how evil the world is. It doesn't matter if you're 20, 21, 20 months old. People don't care anything about you. One didn't make it to 2, and one didn't make it to 21 or 22 years of age. How interesting is that? All young and never got to live a full life because of one sinister monster or more. Prayers for Quentin Simon that there's justice. Please go to change.org to sign your name so that Leilani and Billy Joel could pay back the $250,000 that the chief requested from the commission's board. And prayers for the Idaho 4 that there's justice for them as well. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans.